Hey everyone, it's been a few days, so I figured I'd go ahead and get another video out. Uh, let's see. Pretty sure we're still wearing school, at least. So, um, have you ever been in the presence of someone who, no matter how excited you are or how important it is to you, when you try to talk to that person, um, they're always acting impatient, as though whatever you have to say is just, it can't be important, and it's really annoying that you're speaking, as though they are trying to oblige you by being polite enough to say, hurry up and say what you have to say, but not polite enough to actually really care about what you have to say. That's what it was like trying to have a conversation in my household growing up, at least for me. It was always, I was always told that it was entirely, I was taking entirely too long. Um, that's what, you know, that was always the case. So when, um, you know, when you grow up, you learn how to talk really fast. You start learning how to drop everything down into bite-sized words, bite-sized sentences, something very quick, nothing that requires more than a couple of syllables, and nothing that requires you to take a breath. You have to get it all out real quickly, be done. I don't speak that way anymore. And you'll notice that I take a lot of time on these videos with a lot of pauses, a lot of breaks, and that is intentional. The reason for that is because of I used to rush through everything that I said so quickly, and break it down so entirely that there was no room for anything other than getting to the point and being done. With these videos, I'm trying my best to help myself break that cycle. That was something that I didn't recognize until I was an adult, but it also affected my schoolwork, because when you have to write those damn essays that, we need so many words, which I think is absurd, because let's be real, in the real world, we don't ever write essays that require you to at least write so many words, right? However, those that require all these extra words and that was very hard for me, because I always did really good in English, except for on those particular assignments, and the reason being is I always got right to the point. There was no hustle and bustle about it. There was no, or I guess it was hustle and bustle, but there was no beating around the bush, there was no elaborating. It was just a simple, this is what it is, point blank. And obviously, when you have to write a 400-word essay, and I can get it done in a paragraph, that's not going to cut it. So I always got really bad grades with those. Obviously, I'm not getting graded now. This is obviously, again, I've stated a million times, just for people to kind of reach out and, if you need kind of a shoulder, or you need to know that other people, obviously, I went through the whole thing before. But yeah, so I'm kind of slowing myself down a little bit, making sure that no one else gets to dictate how long it takes me. So I understand if drawing all this stuff out, taking a long time, talking, pausing, all that stuff, it may get a little tedious, and I get that. It gets tedious for me too. And I think part of that is just being conditioned not to take time. So bear with me. Another fun fact. Let's see. We went over. Oh, yeah. Another fun fact is that I'm trying to figure out where exactly we left off. But we're basically, let's see, we already went through the whole shower. Went through all the shame of that. Maybe we recognize again that I'll go over it, in more depth, of course, later. But if you remember, I didn't quite save anybody from anything other than, not seeking justice right away, or attempting to seek justice right away for the bullshit. So things kind of went on as per usual, as far as stepdad continually acting like he hated my guts, birth mother pretending like I was always a problem, always on the phone with family trying to figure out when the next prayer meeting was going to happen so we could try to get rid of this sickness in me. Liking girls is being sick. We talked about pretty much everything when it came to me. Every move I made, pretty much. And once I recognized, if I remember correctly, I think we went over this bit where I wrote all these letters to these girls that were never going to actually get delivered because, obviously I wasn't stupid enough to tell these girls how I felt because I know where I live. After that, I pretty much didn't leave anything in my room anymore. We already discussed the whole, going through my drawers and pulling out clothes that wasn't approved to wear. So there was that. Basically, I'm having to wear what I'm told to wear. I'm dealing with the folks at home who, basically think or pretend, assumingly, I don't know. I don't know what they're really thinking, but at least on the outwards and the way that I felt, it felt like I was a scab on their ass. They just couldn't wait to get rid of me. It's pretty gross, isn't it? Sorry about that. And, just downright, it was a kind of a miserable experience. And then when you start working, I started working, and so I was like, this is great. I'll work and make some money. I'll be out of the house and all that good stuff. And as it turns out, that wasn't great because about the time that I was 9, when everything kind of went tits up. I don't know I'm on one today, sorry. I started, wetting the bed, started having nightmares. I started having trouble sleeping. Had trouble falling asleep. I had trouble staying asleep. And pretty much ever since I was a kid on, I've had issues sleeping. It's been pretty terrible. So my sleep schedule to this day is still screwy. I can't I barely get any sleep at all at night. And more to the point, in school, you're exhausted, right? You're a teenager, so, you're already exhausted because things are just going on crazy with your body and your mind and whatever, all the normal teenage stuff, right? And then, of course, on top of that, me knowing who I was, and knowing that I've told my family or my birth mother who I am, and then realizing that I'm basically being told that no, that's not who I am and that's not who I'm going to be. So I have to put on a facade, even though I made it apparent of who I am. So, here I am being a teenager trying to figure me out, right? Then I'm being told, no, you didn't figure you out. That's a bold-faced lie. You're not doing that anymore. Also, on top of you being like a normal, regular old teenager, you're gonna pray like it's your damn day job to make sure that you don't turn out gay, because that can't happen. So I spent a shitload of time at church and at various relatives' houses in their basement while we had Bible study and prayer circles and trying to get rid of this devil on my back. That's what I was told. I had a devil on my back. So, there's that. And then, if that isn't enough to make you feel pretty cruddy, on top of that, remember, my schoolwork started suffering in about third grade. So, right. So, I'm not doing great in all of my studies, which means that I'm struggling like crazy just to keep afloat. So I'm working my ass off and I still can't seem to get up to par. So that's stressing me out. And, I have to be able to pass school because, God bless, I want to get out of this house, right? And then, I don't want to be in this school with these damn people anymore. I don't want to be at this house anymore. And if I don't graduate, where the heck am I going to go? What am I going to do? I'm going to be stuck here? Are you kidding me? Not going to happen. So failure isn't an option. I can't not graduate. I'm also afraid that if I don't graduate, I'm going to be sent away. Because even though technically if I don't graduate, it wouldn't be too much longer and I'll be of age and all of that, that does not play into your head at all. Not at all. Not in these situations. Okay? So I've got all that going on. And by the way, and if that's not enough, let's go ahead and add a job onto that. Because that seems fun, right? And you're only supposed to work so many hours, but let's be real, that never really happens. And so I worked way too late, and I stayed up way too late doing homework because, I had to start my job right after school, and then after work, I had to come home, I had to do homework, which I rarely finished because I would end up falling asleep in a book, only to wake up early in the morning to get all of my siblings up to get ready for school, and rush out the door, and then made sure I took a study hall so I could try to take that early in the morning so I could finish out schoolwork that I didn't get to finish the night before, and try my best not to fail every single grade I had. That was my life as a teenager. As a young adult. So, that's what I was working with. Being exhausted all the time. Could fall asleep at any moment. So when I would have days off and I would come home and I would sit in my room and try to do homework, a lot of times, my room was really small because, again, remember, we lived in a tiny house. Technically a one-bedroom house, and we converted it into 4 bedrooms, but again, they weren't actual bedrooms, so I had this really tiny, small room, and finally, when I got my own room, at least for a little while, I got it, and, I would sit on my bed because there was nowhere else to sit, either bed or the floor. Obviously, bed is more comfortable. And I would sit in the bed with my back against the wall, and I would try to do homework, and I would end up falling asleep because I was so exhausted. And then, birth mother would come in the doors, slinging it open, screaming at me, about why I fell asleep, and I'm always falling asleep, and, my schoolwork, and I'm not ever getting anything done, and how the fuck can I not get stuff done? Pardon my French, but that's exactly what was said. And, you know, how are you not, what the hell's going on with you? And so eventually, when I would get, screamed at, woken up, all the whole 9 yards, I would get told to go into the kitchen so I could, do dishes or whatever it was. And then, while I was in there trying to, start the water to do dishes or whatever it was, I'm getting screamed at the entire time, that, she thinks that I'm on drugs, because how in the hell can I, what does a teenager have to worry about? What could I possibly be stressed about? And why the hell am I always falling asleep? You've got to be on speed. That's what you're on. Why don't you just tell me? Quit lying to me. You want me to give you a drug test? Do you want me to test you? And all I could think about was the lie detector test and all of that, and what she had told me. Why didn't you say? So that's what I told her. I said, if you feel like you want to test me, then test me, because I knew I wasn't on anything. But I'm not dealing with this anymore, right? I'm tired of you screaming at me, always screaming, always screaming, always screaming. Doesn't have to be screaming in my face at all times. So scream, scream, scream. You want me to give you a drug test? Fine. If you want to do that, I'm just going to do dishes. Go get a drug test. I'll wait. It's fine. And usually I got a look of, talk to me like that again, and I'll lay you out. And so I was just quiet, did the dishes, cleaned up the kitchen. Usually after, dinner, the chores of the kitchen were you do the dishes, sweep the floor, clean off the counters and the table and all that good stuff. And you need to wash, rinse and dry, put up the dishes. So you were in there for quite a while. You didn't really have time to, you didn't get a whole lot of time to do other things. So, you were really cramped when by the time that I got done with dinner and cleaning up after all that, and, getting everything done, getting my shower, I was ready to go to bed, and I still had homework to do. And, don't let yourself fall asleep. So, I would get up and move around and do jumping jacks and all kinds of stuff to try to stay awake so I could do my homework. And that was really hard to do, because you're really not getting much sleep as it is. So, that was a big thing. And at this point, I'm still very much, I'm not to the point where I'm, ready to completely backtalk or anything like that, but I'm getting more and more fed up. There came a point, not long after that there was an incident. And now you would get spanked at home. I mean, that was just a thing. Sometimes it was hands. You get smacked in the face, or you get your butt busted with a hand. Sometimes it was a switch, sometimes a belt, mostly a belt. That was usually how it played out. There was a situation that happened, and again, discipline happens in different forms. Personally, myself, I absolutely am 1,000% against laying your hands on a child. I don't think it's necessary. Maybe because of the way I was raised, I don't know, but I certainly, absolutely, 100% do not believe that a smack in the face, or putting your hands on a kid, smacking them, hitting them, that doesn't do anything but traumatize them. It doesn't give you respect. It doesn't show them that they need to be respected, respect you, or um, you can tell them that they're doing something wrong without hitting them. And I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a lot of times where you're out there and you don't want your kids to get into an abusive relationship, and yet you're the first one that lays your hands onto your kid. You teach them that's okay. That's not okay. So if you're doing that, stop. Stop doing it, because it's not okay. Stop it. You can do it another way. You can discipline another way. Anyways, we thought this was the usual who's getting in trouble and who's getting spanked this time, because, kids don't want to always fess up to what they've done or whatever it is. So, she would bring me, sister, stepsister, stepbrother in, line us all up and ask us, whatever happened and whatever she wants to know, and then try to get one of us to tell her who did it. So at this particular situation, there was a broom that got broken. And it wasn't a particularly expensive broom. It was just a broom. It was like a dollar store, whatever. It was just a regular broom. Just a regular broom. I don't know. And, I don't remember, like, something happened, and, like, I don't even remember if it was, like, the actual brush part, or if the like, for lack of a better term, like, the shaft part of it, if it snapped or something. I don't even remember where it broke at, but it broke. And we all knew that stepbrother did it. We all knew it. But nobody said anything. And he didn't fess up. And after the way that we had seen the way that things went down, nobody said anything, because, like, you broke something? Hell no. You're gonna get beaten. No, we're not saying a word. So nobody said anything. And she kept threatening us and threatening us and threatening us and threatening us and threatening us. And nobody said anything. And so finally, I was like, I'm not saying anything. This is ridiculous. This is stupid. And, he wasn't going to say anything. And so I was just like, you know what, whatever. She seriously can't be, like, beating us over a broom. She can, and she did. What happened was that she had us all line up. It was, I believe it was stepbrother, stepsister, sister, and me. And I believe that's how it went. And she spanked them all. She had them bend over. She beat them with a belt, and she smacked all of them until they cried. And this was the one time I was pretty defiant with her, and she hit me a couple times pretty hard. And when I stood up, I was leaned over the bed, and I stood up, and she saw that I wasn't crying. She grabbed me by my upper arm here, swung me around, and while she's just knocking the crap out of me. Hitting my legs, hitting my butt, hitting my lower back, hitting hard. And she kept hitting me, and she kept stopping and looking at me, and I wouldn't cry, I wouldn't break. So she hit me a few more times. And when she realized that she wasn't going to get me to break, she begrudgingly let me go and told us to go to our rooms. And I went in my room, and after I could tell that she wasn't there in the middle room anymore, and I shut my door, and I knew that she wasn't there anymore, I just bawled. It just started coming out. It hurt so bad. It hurt so bad. I couldn't sit down on my bed. I went to sit down, and I couldn't sit down, so I sort of had to lay off to the side a little bit. I couldn't hardly even use the bathroom. Every time I sat down on the toilet, it hurt really bad. Um, so I never did get a look at what everything looked like, but it hurt. Everything was welted up, I do know that. And there was lots of raises in my skin. It was pretty bad. It hurt a lot. And I laid in there and cried for quite a while, and I finally fell asleep. And then I didn't get woken up for dinner that day, and I didn't go and eat dinner. I woke up, I smelled it, that dinner was being cooked, and I went to the bathroom, used the restroom, and came back to my room and went back to sleep. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to be with anybody. So, I spent the rest of the night in my room by myself in the dark because I just couldn't. And I honestly don't remember when it was that I could sit, but it certainly was not that day. I could not sit on anything. It hurt. So, it was all a power game, and I was really getting tired of the way that things were going down, because I could tell it had nothing to do with teaching you right from wrong. It had everything to do with, you're going to fear me. And once I basically kind of let her know then and there I wasn't afraid, I was tired of being afraid, that was a bad move on my part. But it was one of the few times that I actually kind of was defiant quietly with her. The next go around was at one point in time, I don't remember exactly I don't remember what triggered it, but I do know that there was something, and I was fed up, and I started to pack a bag, much like a lot of teenagers do, especially if you're being, a kid, everybody else had places to go to escape, right? The stepkids had their mothers that they went back to. Maybe not the greatest place in the world for them to be, but they still got away from this to get a little bit of a space. And sister had at least her father, not necessarily the rest of the family, but she had her father to at least go to. So she got a break from things, and then she got to see her cousins and stuff like that. So she had a little bit of a break, at least from the ridiculousness, right? And I was there full time. I had to deal with it day in and day out. So there was never a break. Because even when nothing was broken at the house, I was still getting in trouble because of grades. I was still getting in trouble because the way that I wanted to dress. I was still getting in trouble because of just existing, because I breathed, because I didn't ask to be born, right? So it was always something. There was at some point, there was a time where I was, in the middle of packing a bag, and, being a little bit dramatic about it. I'm fairly certain that pretty sure that I wanted her to see it too. I'm fairly certain that's how that went. I think I was walking through the living room with my bag, and she asked me where I was going, and I said, I don't want to be here anymore, and something along the lines of, that's fine, get the fuck out. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, you don't want to be here, get the fuck out, leave, I'm not going to keep you here. And I was like, well, I mean, I wasn't planning on, like, staying, like, I don't have anywhere to go. And she's like, you want to go, leave. She's like, I'll help you pack your shit. So, I made sure that I had enough clothes in there for a while, and in a backpack, and I had my school books, and I put it on my back and walked out the door. She took my house key and she locked the front door, and I was locked out. So I walked down the street, and Um, I didn't know exactly what to do, but I went to a friend's house. And she lived right down from the school. So I walked over to her house and um, asked if I could stay with her for a little bit. And she said I could. Her dad was okay with it. So while I stayed there, I, like, mowed the yard and stuff for, being able to have somewhere to live for a little while. And I think I was gone for, like, I believe it was about a week or so. I was gone. And then I was finally allowed to come back home. Um, I mean, I didn't have any, like, more clothes or anything like that, and I was like, well, I'm running out of stuff, and um, I was like, can you leave the door unlocked or leave me a key or something? If you're not going to let me back in, I need to get more shit, and, I got to get more stuff. I don't have anything, and she let me come back, and I was gone for about a week. So, I was like, I really didn't want to be there, but I don't know. I guess I just look at it differently because I look at it, if I had a kid, I mean, I know if I, right? Things are, situations or whatever, but I just can't fathom having a kid that goes through all that and then treating them the way that she was. I can't see it. So for me, even if I was a little shit, which maybe I'm partial, I don't know, but I really don't think I was that bad of a kid. I really don't. I mean, pretty good kid, you know, as far as I'm concerned. But, yeah, so I was gone, like I said, for about a week or so, and then I was allowed to come back in the house and was told that, if I ever wanted to go again, that I wasn't going to be let back in. So I knew right then and there that I had to graduate, because if I didn't, I was in a world of hurt. Um, so yeah, um, stay to myself, do my schoolwork, stay grounded, do my very best that I can to get through stuff. Um, you know, can't really ask for help because nobody in the house could really help me. I was the oldest, so no one else was doing the stuff that I was in, and um, my birth mom couldn't help me. Not only was the stuff, way out of the stuff that they were learning in school, but I mean, she went back to get her GED years later. So I mean, she wasn't super knowledgeable about the stuff. I mean, it just wasn't really her forte, and I didn't have really anybody else to lean on to get some help with that. So I was kind of up a creek. Yeah, I had some tough goes at it, which of course, anytime that you're different, kids can be rather cruel. I mean, not only can adults and whatnot, people in general can be really cruel, but kids can be pretty gnarly little humans, and of course, due to the fact that I struggled in school, I didn't always have the best of the best, and I just wasn't that popular, groovy kid, which I didn't strive to be anyway. But I mean, you get picked on for a lot of things, and then, you're quiet, and why are you so quiet? And then, you definitely look different, you definitely act different, what's going on? And, lots and lots and lots of things. I mean, I told you, I think I had at some point covered, different bullying things in other videos. And, for the most part, even those that didn't necessarily bully certainly didn't do anything to step in and stop it. So, kids, not always the best judgments of character, I guess. But during that particular time in my life, it just really felt like everything was just you know, like somewhere there was a dump truck just full of shit and it was just dumping. And, I'm looking up trying to catch water in my mouth, and that's not water. So, this one's, I'm going to end this video now before I start getting to the outer edges of my high school there. So, but yeah, anyways, if you have dealt with any of this, or you're feeling any of this, or maybe you went through it and now you're trying to figure out why some of your things are the way that they are, the way that you act, whatever it is, just know it's hard, but you're not alone. And there are a lot of things that will kick in when you're young to keep you alive and somewhat sane. And while it may not make sense now, or maybe, a couple years, after the fact, whatever it is, my therapist has always told me that it serves you when it needs to serve you. And sometimes we just don't know when to stop those behaviors because we've had to do them for so long to survive. So it served you for what it needed to do. And if it doesn't serve you anymore, we have to learn a new way. So you're not alone. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Be good to each other.